every person in this room knows that I am a partner with Brad in LightSpeed. So our online academy with Monster Growth, Brad is also partnered with, and I don't want to do it any disjustice, but you've got Tony Robbins, right?
Yes.
You've got Damon John, Grant Cardone, Jeffrey Gitomer. You had Zig Ziglar. Still got Zig Ziglar, which
well,
is
not him personally.
Zig is still selling. Although he's not with us anymore, he's still selling. Who else do you have?
Yeah, Tim Grover,
who wrote Relentless.
World Series of Poker.
Yes.
Top Chef.
Yes.
As far as people go, John Maxwell.
I've been very fortunate to partner with Brad. I believe in reaching up. You hear me talk about this all the time, to people who are playing at higher levels than you. I believe in surrounding yourself with people and really thinking on a much more global scale. You know, I think we get caught up focusing very small and very local. Ladies and gentlemen, the real Brad Lee. Take it over, brother. The real Brad Lee.
Thank you, sir. So my story, if you want to hear it, is ultimately I developed a lease presentation, and I became very good at convincing people to lease rather than purchase. This presentation was very powerful and fairly easy to learn. So I developed this thing called the Real Deal Lease Presentation, which I started to get a lot of dealers wanting me to train their staff. So I would go out on the road. So ultimately I quit my job, went out on the road to start a training company, and knocked on doors and got some business. Well, while I was training people, I started to realize that, you know, training without repetition really isn't training. And that's when I kind of thought I need to put my training online. So there wasn't anything online really back then. So I created it. So ultimately I found some people, and everyone said it couldn't be built, and no, that's not going to work. And then one guy, and he had a company called StyleWise. So I went over and met with Jason Straub, and ultimately got him to build my first version of LightSpeed. So I went out on the road selling my training through that, and it started to stick. I mean, people started to learn, not to mention I could press a button and see if someone trained or not. And it started to work really, really, really well. Why? Well, because training's uncomfortable if you do it right. Repetition is necessary. So like my course, in order to be certified with my training, you had to go through it 12 times. Repetition is key to training, period. So repetition and accountability was kind of the backbone of the system. And ultimately started knocking on doors and found that, you know, people wanted Grant, people wanted Joe, people had these other experts that they were in love with, and for some reason nothing I said would convince them. Ultimately I thought, how do I get the deal anyway? And I thought, if I had Grant's training on here or Joe Verdi's training on here, well then I'd get the deal, because they love the idea, they just didn't like the content. So I finally made the deal with Joe. And sure enough, Joe went out and got all those dealerships I couldn't get, and then I got Grant, and Grant went out and got all the dealerships I couldn't get. And then they were a little bit salty about competing with me, because now I knew where their clients were. And so I just decided not to compete with my client, just to support them. So that's what kind of when I stopped being a trainer and just started focusing on the platform. And then people started to realize, you know, this doesn't just have to be for the car business. This could be for anything: realtors, franchises, restaurants, hotels, you know, learning to play poker, learning to cook like a chef. You know, anybody that wants to learn anything, our system, because of its proprietary interactive technology, allows you to train people better. So it's scalable, it's accountable, tracking and reporting and analytics, and then it kind of just went from there. So that's ultimately the story. And then, you know, here we are 18 years later. We'll probably do 50, maybe 60 million this year. Next year, we'll probably do 100 million. The second year after that, we'll probably do 500 million, according to my speculation.
The people are earning the most money, have the most repetition, and stay with it. They don't want something new every week.
Because they've heard all this over and over.
It is
now
the mastery. Listen, it is the mastery of a concept.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh yeah. I got a big wish. You guys know what it is? Here we go.
Yeah.
What was it? What's your big wish?
The wish was that every person in the room bought this package right here, okay? There you go. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. All right, so here's the deal. Did Bradley deliver some good, yes or no? Yes. Good. This is a good friend of mine. Calls come in, and then we go through and we basically diagnose their needs, and then we pivot to a program. You need Monster Producer. We can give it to you live. Would you like to experience it live or online?
That whole room in there should all have a VT system.
I know.
Minimum. And if they don't, it's either because you didn't ask them or you didn't sell them. One of the two. Scripts bother me as a consumer.
I understand.
And if you put yourself in your consumer's position, how would you like to be called and have somebody start reading a script, especially when you can tell they're reading? That's even more annoying. You just record the perfect webinar, and then you schedule it like it's real, and coincidentally, every time you go to schedule it, just so happens there's one starting in 30 minutes. So you're like, hey, cool, boom, I'll go on that one. Then you get on there and it's like, hey, thanks for coming to my webinar. I'm Coach Burt. You ever feel like this? You ever feel like that? Well, here's what I'd say, and here's what I think, and then, shit, if you think I can help you, give me a call.
We're saying the people that Coach Burt's coaching are average 43% increase in sales in their
Yes, I'd
first year.
say increase your sales by 43%.
Right.
And then, by the way, people stop. That is what they want. How do I do that? Well, this guy happens to be the way you do it, but what I'm selling is increase your income. And really, it's double your money. Same thing with content. See, Grant still doesn't understand this. Grant thinks it's about quantity, and it's because of how his guys are selling it. I'll give you two offers. You tell me which one y'all would want, okay? This one is over 40 hours of content, right? It'll double your sales. This one is 30 minutes of content, and it'll double your sales. Which one do you want?
30 minutes. 30 all day long.
Yeah, so it shows you right there that quantity is irrelevant.
It is.
I can double your sales. Are you interested?
That's right.
Let's talk about it. You know, it doesn't matter that there's 100 hours or 900 hours or anything. What matters is I can double your sales. And in some cases, the less content actually sells more. Like, I'd be interested in 30 minutes rather than I would 30 hours.
Hey guys, I'm Coach Michael Burt, the super coach.
That's right.
I believe everybody needs a good coach in life. And here's one of my coaches right here, guys. The real deal, Bradley, straight out of Las Vegas. Virtual training, LightSpeed virtual training, the #1 training platform in the world. He's in town for a couple days in Nashville, Tennessee. Today he spoke to my monster producers this morning. I used to have my players take 500 shots a day.
When were they done?
They were never done.
When were they done?
Every day they came in and trained.
That's training.
But business people.
If you're not training, you're straining.
Right.
Write that down.
If you're not training, you're straining. Guys, I'm Coach Michael Burt. This is the man, Bradley, the real Bradley. If you're not on my online academy, you need to be. Go to monsterproducer.com. Right there, you can get all the goods, man. We got to slip off and do an accountability session.
I wouldn't call that an objection. I would call that an ineligible opportunity. I mean, you have to have someone that can do it before, and they're saying no. Like, look, I want to teach you guys how to get past a no. You know, that right there, you're talking to someone that isn't the decision maker, well, then you don't need objection training, you need prospecting training.